Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round young virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleeping.
Well, that wasn't our typical opening music. That was Silent Night by my guest today, Giada Valenti. Giada, I mean, you are becoming an institution here in Las Vegas. Just finished that show over at the Smith Center, and you got, boy, you have so much to talk about. I know you have a Christmas album coming out. You have Christmas singles out, the Silent Night we just heard, and you know, but your stuff is not all Christmas, and you know, you've done a lot of very, very wonderful songs, and let me just let our audience get a quick glimpse into what your music is. We have a little taste of Volare.
Di stare lassù e volavo, volavo felice più in alto del sole ed ancora più su, mentre il mondo spariva pian piano negli occhi tuoi blu. Una musica dolce suonava soltanto per noi. Here we go again.
Well, that was just beautiful.
It's a sing-along, right?
Yes, I was singing. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows the song.
And we have some more. I know
you have a lot of music to play.
Well, you have a lot of songs that you've done.
I mean, I know many songs, but I mean, Volare. It's funny because is it the most beautiful Italian song? No, I can tell you that. But no matter where you are in the world, you sing it, and everybody sings it with you.
Let's talk Italian for a little bit. No, I don't mean that I'm going to speak your
language.
Italian? No,
all right,
I'm going to speak to you about your Italian roots.
See.
Right, you grew up in, you're born in Venice?
Born and raised in Venice, Italy. And I spent my whole life, many people said, why did you left Venice when they come and visit? Because of course Venice is a small place, and I had big dreams, and actually I followed happiness. Happiness was music, so music brought me to the Netherlands because I'm married to a Dutch guy. We met in Switzerland, we fell in love, we married, we went to Amsterdam. And while I was having a successful career over there, I decided to switch from Italian to English. I started to write English music, and that brought me to London. And from London, I was invited to New York. I spent there 11 years. Always, I don't have any plan ahead. I just follow stuff. So I was in New York. I was invited by Clive Davis. How could you say no to Clive Davis, right?
Not, yeah.
So I lived there for 11 years, which was nice. New York is a special city. We were talking, me and you, before the show started. And then I had the opportunity to film a PBS special, a music special actually for PBS that aired nationally. And I started to travel a lot and be a lot in Los Angeles. Blue sky, beautiful weather, and brought me to LA. And the last city that broadcast my PBS special was Las Vegas, because now we are, both me and you, in Vegas today. And when I came to Vegas, it was not in the list of the city that I wanted even to visit, because I don't drink and I don't gamble. So I always said to my husband, I go to Vegas only if I need to do something with my music. And so PBS invited me here. I did a show, and if you give me a second, it was a funny story how I fell in love with Vegas. So, you know, the PBS works like that. It's a live show, right? So they show clips of your music, and then people need to call in. So there are 3 blocks of phone calls. The first block of phone calls, no one of the phone was ringing. So the phones were behind me. Nobody's calling. And I'm like, of course they're not calling. We're in Vegas. 200 show a night. Who wants to come and see Giada from Venice, right? And then the second block of phone calls, the phone started to ring. And then the third one, the phone will ring and ring, and the program was over and done. And people were still calling. So I thought it was like overwhelming for me to receive such a welcome. So I went and I said, can I pick up one of the phone myself? I picked up one of the phones and I spoke with this woman. She was Irene is her name. She's Vegas. And she said, I love it. I just bought the tickets to come and see you at the Smith Center. She said, I know you think I'm crazy. She said, but how long are you staying to Vegas? I said, 2 days. She said, would you like to come and have dinner with me and my husband? I said, yeah. So we went for dinner at the Italian-American Club here in Las Vegas, and there I started to meet the community of Las Vegas.
Right.
I met Dennis Bono, Lauren Hunt, which they are imported here, and they said, oh, you have to come. So they invited me to another show, and I fell in love with the community. And so a couple of months later, my lease was ending in Los Angeles, and with my husband, we were like, do you remember Vegas? It was awesome there. So we packed the house, and we came to Vegas, and I've been here for 3 years.
Okay, now we can end the show. Because
Yes,
you've given me your whole life. That quick. Because that was my question was really about Italy.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I tell you my whole life story. Okay, but it was a pleasure to be your guest.
No, because I've always been curious about growing up in Venice. Yeah, it's such a different city compared to anywhere in the world. And of course, and I was just watching something on the news, I mean, with the flooding and the water problems in Venice. I mean, you're always walking in water there, right?
Yeah, the streets of Venice are made of water. So the main transportation, everything, police, firefighters, the cleaners of, everything goes through waters. So that's why I'm laughing sometimes in Venice. You recognize the tourists from the people from Venice because when they hear a siren, they move from the path where the little things. They say, no, guys, they're coming from the water. But Venice is a special place. First of all, we don't have cars. I don't know, you've been there. It's very small. Yeah. This is one of the things that I hear from people when they go to Venice. They fall in love about the beauty of the place, of course, the history of Venice, but the fact that there are no cars, not even bicycles are allowed. So you either walk or you take boats. And they always ask me, he has shaped me as a human being for several things because everything in Venice is beautiful. So I'm a great admirer of beauty, of arts. Some of my friends make fun of me because I can spend half an hour watching the nice velvet material because the costumes of Venice for Carnival, if you see in details, you show some clips of my PBS special, those gowns were made for me in Venice by a famous designer in Venice that makes all these things for me.
You're kind of like synonymous with these beautifully elaborate gowns.
Elaborate, everything in details. If you see the arts, the building in Venice, and I always say to people, look up and you see the details, how those buildings were built 300 or 400 years ago. There is so much, we call it Rococo in Italy. There is a lot of details in Venice. We like small things and nothing is plain. There is a lot of stuff. So I'm an admirer of details of beautiful things. And some of my American friends make fun of me. And for the rest, they shaped me about the vision I have of life. Think about it, that you've been to Venice. People go to Venice when they have to celebrate a wedding, and then they go back for the honeymoon, and then they go back when they have the anniversary. So me, as a woman, at the time a child raised in Venice, I've seen all the time people happy in Venice. They come there, they hug, they kiss. There is a tradition that you have to kiss the person you're with that you love if you want to stay with that person for the rest of your life. Under each and every bridge, we have 357 of them. So and somehow the gondolier.
By that time, you were stuck with the person.
Exactly. So the gondolier makes sure that kiss this person if you want to be with her. So everybody. So for me, I have this vision of life that is all about love. So Venice has shaped me as a romantic person that I am. I'm a true believer that love is the most important thing in life. My Christmas show is called Love Under the Christmas Tree because think about it. You can have everything in life. But and during COVID, it came clear to all of us.
What the greatest gift is.
Yes, to have somebody you love in your life. If you are alone, you can have the most beautiful thing, but you have nothing.
Okay, so growing up in Venice, I'm back there. Because where I'm going in the conversation is you started, playing piano or singing first?
At 7 years old.
Yeah. You take piano lessons?
I took piano. Actually, my grandmother was a soprano, was a singer. She was taking me to church, and she started to sing, and she noticed that I could keep a tune. Yeah. So she said, we should have this child go to school. So at 5 years old, they told me that I could play piano and read notes even more than I could, even before I could read words, let's say. And for the rest, as I said before, I did not have a plan of becoming a singer. It's just that happened.
But you were going to school for music, right? I mean,
For music, yes. I took, there is a conservatory very famous called Santa Cecilia in Venice, and I took a degree over there in music. My parents were like, I'm the only child, they always wanted the best for me, and they were like, okay, music is your passion, and I want you to be happy. But what about if music is not going to be a career for you? What else do you want to do? So I studied at university psychology, and I took all my degrees just in case. Was my backup plan was analyze other people, but at the end I didn't do it. But I studied everything. I even took I started as a classical singer because the basic of singing, I don't know if you're familiar, but the breathing and the projecting of the music, you have it when you study classical music. My grandmother was a soprano, so she wanted me to go more in the classical thing. And it became clear to me when I was 14, I remember I was taking lessons with this famous soprano in Venice. And I'm a mezzo-soprano, so I don't have the highest voice, I have the middle one. It was a piece of La Carmen. And she made me sing the thing, and she stopped me, she said, no, you have to breathe here. I said, yeah, but I can keep the notes longer. She said, no, that's the way it's written. So I went home and I said, Nonna, grandmother, I said, that music is not going to be for me. I want to be free. For me, music is the epitome of freedom. Right. And so then I went to jazz music because there you could really, everything goes, right? But I'm happy that my family, my grandmother and my parents, they pushed me to do classical piano and classical music because that's the basic.
Do you still play piano?
Very little. I only use it. I have a piano actually since a year here in Las Vegas. I didn't even, mine is in Italy, still in my apartment in Venice. And I was missing, I use it only to write music. So I don't play classical music that much anymore. But
you also speak and sing in many languages.
Many languages.
And we have a sample of you singing in French, La Vie en
La
Rose.
Vie en Rose.
Let's listen to that.
Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parlait tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit de mots d'amour, d'un mot de soulage, ça me fait quelque chose. Entre dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, l'a juré pour la vie.
Okay, and we're back. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Ed.
And is it difficult to sing in so many different languages? I mean, mentally, do you have to prepare yourself, or how does that work? I mean, you're singing in French, are you thinking in Italian, or how does...
Well, I speak 5 languages. Yeah. It's funny enough, even though Italian is my first one, because I lived in Amsterdam for 5 years, and I'm married to a Dutch person, Dutch is my second language, so I ended up a lot of time thinking in Dutch, believe it or not. I don't think about it. I do speak all those languages, and when I learn a song, even if it's a language that I don't speak properly, because I sing also in German and I don't speak much German, I want to know what it's about. And then in my head, while I sing, I picture all the beautiful thing I sing in, so I don't have to
I just had this conversation last night with my wife. We were listening, Michael Bublé was doing a special, and he was singing the song that you sing, Silent Night, and he was singing it in English. My wife, who grew up in Peru, knows it from Spanish. And the words are entirely different in Spanish than they are in English. And I was asking her, so when you're listening to the English, are you hearing it in your mind in Spanish or English?
No, if it's in English, I sing in English. Then actually,
she appreciates it in English, what you tell me.
Wherever language I go, my brain go to the thing. I mean, it's a good question. Many people, I'm very good in memorizing things, but also because I try to visualize. For instance, if I have to learn a song, every song tells a story. And that's why I never read a song from a piece of paper, because It's like if you have to do a speech in tribune on court, you're not going to read. You want to do you talk to people. You have to communicate. Singing is communications for me. So I memorize the lyrics, and I do it easily because lyrics tell stories. So I paint the movie in my brain and I go for it. But it's funny because my single is Silent Night, which I sing also a part in Espanol, is Noche de Paz, which is Night of Peace. Correct. And they are so different. And I do many songs actually.
The story is different.
The story is completely
different. The movie
different.
that you're painting in your head is different.
It's different.
Song.
So, but I switch. I mean, I don't know. I think I have like a crazy brain that I can switch from left to right without thinking much.
Right. And there was something else about that. And you ended up getting a degree in music as well as psychology, right? But then you had, I was wanted to ask you about, because, everybody thinks, you're so beautiful and your voice is so wonderful that people think that they look at somebody like you and think, boy, she must had everything in life coming to her.
Oh.
And but you've had some struggles. You had some medical issues in life, right?
Yes.
And you took that negative. What happened? And it made an impact in your life because it kind of brought you to a different place in life, right? Yeah.
I always say sometimes, you need a rain to appreciate the sunshine, and you need a rain to see the rainbow. That's what happened to me. Actually, next year is going to be 10 years ago. I had a second chance in life. I was very sick for the longest time. I had tumors on my pancreas.
Which is can be very, very serious.
Yes, it was actually.
It could be life-threatening.
Life-threatening. It was life-threatening.
Yeah.
And I tried to stretch it and ignore the problem. I was always fainting, and I always gave a reason that I was tired because I always worked too much. And
was this going on for a long time?
Long time.
Fainting
Fainted for I think 6, 7, 8 months, and then at a certain point we were talking to doctors. They started to do some tests in Italy. They couldn't find nothing, but at a certain point, to make a long story short, I needed to check my sugar because my sugar was always too low. Every 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And if I was too late in eating something in those 3 hours, I was basically calling 911, and I was ended up in the emergency room. When at a certain point, I was for 1 month in a hospital in New York City, completely months of June, I remember, 10 years ago. And next year is going to be 10 years. And they found out I had 3 tumors on my pancreas called insulinomas. They're tumors, benign tumors that produce insulin. So that's why the sugar never stabilized. And they took away half of my pancreas. Then they did something called ablations. I was the first patient where they ever tried that. And thank to God, I'm back here. And
how has it changed you?
For better. 1 month in the hospital made me appreciate, first of all, nurses. Doctors are very important. But they are the secondary person, are the nurses, but actually are the one that really keep an eye to patients. So I love nurses to pieces. And as we come back to the one I said, love is the most important thing. I was sick, I was young, I was sick, I was not doing well, but I always have my husband next to me. I had my parents FaceTime me every day. I have my fans sending me present, and I saw people in the hospital there with nobody, and I was trying to cheer them up. Actually, next to me there was a patient, I'm still friends with her. She had the Crohn's disease. And she was at the time, I think she was 29 years, Lisa is her name. I'm still friends with her. And I was her companion because I know you have history in your family with that, with your daughter. And it was horrible, but I saw her struggle as a young woman with a child of only 1. And it made me a better person. I realized that suddenly, first of all, that everything can end tomorrow. We are not here forever. So whatever things we have to do, we should better do it today because we don't know tomorrow. We can be 19, we can be 10 years old. We don't know. There is no... My parents, as I said, we are going to die before you, said, you don't know. We don't know who is going to die first.
True. Very true.
So it made me a more centered person and more understanding that life matters. People matters, and we have to.
And you started meditating.
I started meditating.
TM meditation.
I started meditating. I start to educate myself in a million or gazillions of things every day. I want to learn something and end the day doing something that can make my life better.
Meaningful. Yeah.
Meaningful.
Yeah, and before we run out of time, I want to talk about. We played in the opening of our credits your Silent Night. Christmas single, which is available now, but you're also finishing an album which will be available next Christmas
See?
with other artists you're doing?
With other artists, and actually it started during COVID. I had nothing to do. All the best musicians in Los Angeles had nothing to do. The Royal Philharmonic in London at Abbey Road Studio had nothing to do. So I called everybody, and we put together this amazing album with the Royal Philharmonic and some of the most amazing musicians of the world scene. I had Nathan East on bass, Tariq Cooney on bass. He's the musical director of Joss Groban. I have Anthony Wilson on guitar. He's the musical director of Diana Krall. So I called everybody that I knew because, and everybody was like, yeah,
All-star
let's make
team,
a
right?
Yeah. And so we create something beautiful, and it's coming out next year. I cannot wait. I'm going to have some amazing duets with some amazing singers from the Latin world and the American world. So it's going to be, I'm very excited, actually.
Well, great. And talking about something beautiful, let's listen to Giada singing Sway.
¿Quién será el que me quiera a mí? ¿Quién será? Oh, ¿quién será? ¿Quién será el que me dé su amor? ¿Quién será? Oh, ¿quién será? I can hear the sound of violins long before it begins. Let me thrill as only you know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. Sway me smooth, sway me now.
Well, that was
You were swaying.
breathtaking. It was such a beautiful song, and you sing it so beautifully. But you can catch Giada, I mean, anywhere on the internet. I mean, you have live streaming, you have YouTube,
busy,
you have so much going on. But you do have this live
The
show
Giada
that you
Live,
do.
yeah.
Giada Live.
I
Right.
closed Las Vegas March 14 last year, 12. I did my last concert at the Smith Center, and then pandemic started. And so 3 days later, I was so bored. I said, what shall I do? So I put the phone on, and I started with a quick hello. And before I knew, I started what is called the Giada Live. I just was saying a second ago, I want to pick your brain and have you as my guest. And I started to sing, to cook, to interview all my famous friends.
Right. So
every day for 100
let's talk
days.
about this. Okay,
See.
are you a good cook? Obviously, you're
Of course, I'm
knowledgeable about
Italian.
cooking.
Everybody can cook, right?
Right. So I saw one of your episodes when you made this tiramisu.
Oh, I'm
that
an
was
expert for
like
tiramisu.
this big, right?
Yeah, we just went to Texas. Actually, we made a huge tiramisu. Yeah.
And what else do you like to cook?
Oh, I mean, actually, as a dessert, I only make tiramisu and a few more. And tiramisu is my favorite dessert, and it's easy to make.
So you do streaming, and
I
you
do
talk,
streaming
and you
every day.
give recipes. And
I give recipe. I even don't drink, and I've learned how to make cocktails because I was so bored. I said I need to learn to make cocktails, and ended up that everybody watching love to make cocktails. But I cook all kind of pasta, and I'm always say my recipe. The opening was, if I can do it, you can do better. Because it's true, I'm a singer. How do I know about cooking? But cooking Italian food is so simple. It's not more than 4 ingredients. And I'm always saying my secret is don't buy the cheap stuff. Buy the good stuff, the good tomato sauce, the good pasta, the good cheese. That already makes you a better chef.
How about the olive oil?
And the olive oil, the best. But don't buy the 99-cent. Buy the good one. So that's the thing. And then just put a little bit of brine, not too much salt. Sometimes people taste my food and they say it's delicious. Why is better than some good restaurants? Or my tiramisu is better than some other. I've been told it's better than some good tiramisu. And there is only one secret that don't use too much sugar and don't use too much salt, because that will kill the
sends it off balance.
Exactly,
right?
the balance. If you go to Italy, the food is delicious. Why? Right. Because we don't put too much salt. In America, they tend to put too much salt, too much sugar, and then you lose everything. So that's my secret, is moderation and love.
One of the languages that we didn't mention was sign language.
See.
Right. I mean, you started learning that during COVID, or why?
During COVID, I started to do this Giada Live, 100 days, every day. And one of my fans now, one of my dearest friends now, Diane Fiorentino, she lives in Vegas. One day she called me and she said, my son is deaf. And all the entertainers, because all the singers and the entertainers, everybody was doing some live streaming, right? We were all trying to keep company to the people around. She said, and the deaf people, they have nothing to see beside the television, and we are wearing masks, and they cannot read our lips. So I thought it was so
even on the
sad.
closed caption, when you're watching something on television
Yeah.
and there's music, it was just say musical notes. You
Exactly.
see, right? This is music is playing. It doesn't tell you what
It doesn't
they're
say
saying.
what it is.
Yes.
And I felt so bad because for me, I'm always say if I have to choose, hopefully I should never have to choose between being blind or deaf. I would rather go blind because for me, listening music, it's
Interesting.
my life, it's the center of my life. So I asked my friends again, can you teach me? So during COVID, I started to educate myself and my viewers to American Sign Language. And now I'm able to say that I am a singer and a songwriter. And I can do the alphabet. I know all the things for cooking. And actually, my single is Silent Night. And I've learned, I just did it at the Smith Center last Sunday. I've learned to sing and sign. So, Silent Night, Holy Night. And it's very easy because this woman teach me American Sign Language and she makes me understand why. So this is the sign for night because this is the whole night. Actually, only night is nighttime is like this. The sun goes down, right? But if it's the only night, this is the only night. Good morning is like this because the sun comes up.
Okay.
I know. I did it once. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you say that. So one day I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job. I know where it's going. I'm doing my job live. My mom and dad are watching in Italy. And she see me doing the sign language. Said, guys, good morning, everybody. My mother was like, what kind of signs are you doing? I said, Ma, this is the sun rising up. It's not the Italian thing. But she makes me, I mean, you know where I'm going. So, and I have fun sometimes because everything that has to do with man is a high here. So this is the sign for father, and this is the sign for mother. So I was saying to my friend Diane, why man's is here? And the husband said, because the women talks, the man thinks. So I don't think that's the reason, but this is father, this is mother. And so this is Virgin Mary. And she make me remember easily because she thinks, think about Pulp Fiction. Do you remember the Pulp Fiction song? But this is actually Virgin Mary. This is Jesus, because what did they do to Jesus? They put it on the cross, so they make the holes in the hands. So, and because of that, and everything, this is spaghetti.
So it makes sense.
Makes sense.
When you
So,
learn why.
Yeah, so now when I'm talking, and I said, I am, actually another journalist asked me, he said, was it difficult for you to do sign language? I said, look at me. I'm Italian. I speak with my hands
You
anyway.
speak with your
At
hands,
least now my hands make sense, right? When I talk, I can...
Do you have any plans to be back at the Smith Center?
Actually, I'm going back at the Smith Center April the 20th with a show that closed the Smith Center last year, Songs from the Movie. I do this beautiful concert team that is songs from the movies and with a screen and everything, with strings, is beautiful. So we bring it back at the Smith Center April the 20th. But
and there's nothing better than seeing her live in a venue like the Smith Center. I've seen it. It's absolutely breathtaking.
Yes.
But you can also catch her on
They
Giada.live.
Yes.
On YouTube.
Yeah, and if they want, they
Facebook.
can see the live streaming of the concert we did last Sunday. They can still buy a ticket and see it. We did last Sunday. They can go to giadavalenti.live.
Giada
Valenti.
Live, and you can catch the streaming that she just did last week at the Smith Center.
Yes.
So I mean, this is a treat, especially this time of the year. Catch Giada either live or on the internet. Thank you so much, Giada. It was a
thank
pleasure.
you for having me.
I could have done another half hour with you.
Oh, we could have done. And next time you're going to be a guest of mine, so people get to learn who is Ed Bernstein.
You got a deal. See you next week.